Princess Ilara of the Lyrian Dominion stood at the balcony of the palace, staring out at the twin moons hanging low over the silver forests. The light reflected on her golden robes, but her heart felt heavy. From the day she was born, her path had been decided. She was to marry General Kale of the Terran Union, a human hero celebrated across the galaxy for his courage and skill. Everyone said he was perfect for her, a symbol of alliance between humans and Lyrians. But to Ilara, perfection felt like a cage, a gilded prison she could not escape. Ilara's life had been a series of duties: attending council meetings, greeting diplomats, learning the delicate arts of negotiation and etiquette. She respected these responsibilities, but they never filled the emptiness she sometimes felt in her chest. She longed for something beyond the palace walls, beyond politics, beyond duty. Sometimes she imagined herself walking freely in the forests, or flying among the stars without the weight of expectation pressing down on her. One evening, as the moonlight painted the gardens silver, Ilara wandered through the palace corridors and slipped into the outer gardens. She walked beneath the trees, their leaves shimmering with a strange bioluminescent glow unique to Lyra. The air was still, but then a faint rustle in the shadows made her pause. At first, she thought it was a guard, but no one appeared. Then a figure stepped from the darkness, tall, with fur as dark as the night, and eyes glowing like molten amber. The being moved with grace that was almost hypnotic. "I mean you no harm," the figure said, his voice deep but calm. It carried an odd resonance like a soft rumble of distant thunder. Ilara's pulse quickened. She had heard stories of the Fenra, a mysterious species often called werewolves in human legend. They were said to be strong, fast, and connected to the natural world in ways no human or Lyrian could fully understand. Many feared them, and yet something about this one did not feel threatening. "You shouldn't be here," Ilara said, trying to sound composed. "I came because of you," the Fenra replied. "I have watched you, princess. You carry a light that does not belong in chains." Ilara's eyes widened. She had never felt noticed in such a way. I am bound by duty. My life is not mine to choose. Even the brightest stars sometimes fall," the Fenra said softly. His amber eyes held a seriousness that was almost painful to look at. "Perhaps it is time to choose your own path." Before she could answer, he leaned forward, brushing his lips briefly against hers. It was gentle, fleeting, but it sent a shock through her body. Her heart raced and she could barely catch her breath. When he pulled back, he looked at her with an intensity she could not describe. "I am Kalen," he said, his voice now quiet, almost vulnerable. "I will not leave until you see that life does not have to be dictated by duty alone." Ilara stepped back, her mind whirling. She was betrothed to General Kale, a human of honor and courage, and yet the warmth she felt from Kalen, the energy of his presence, made her heart ache with confusion and longing. She realized for the first time that everything she had been taught might not be the only path for her. The next morning, the palace was alive with excitement. The Terran delegation had arrived, and with them General Kale himself. He was tall, with a commanding presence and eyes that seemed to measure everything around him. When he greeted Ilara, he did so with respect and courtesy, his voice firm but kind. Over the next few days, Kale proved himself a man of brilliance and principle. He spoke of strategy, of protecting the galaxy, of unity between species. Ilara listened, torn between admiration and the strange pull in her heart that Kalen's presence had ignited. Duty and desire were now at war within her, and she felt powerless to stop it. Each night she returned to the gardens, hoping to see Kalen. And each night he was there, waiting as if he had always been a part of this world she had never known she could enter. They spoke without words sometimes, simply sharing glances and unspoken understanding. Ilara found herself laughing, thinking, and feeling in ways she never had in the gilded halls of the palace. One night, Kalen led her to a hidden glade deep in the forest. The trees glowed softly with their bioluminescence, casting gentle shadows around them. The air smelled of flowers and rain, and the world felt still, suspended between one heartbeat and the next. "The galaxy sees humans and Lyrians as separate, as rivals," Kalen said. "They fail to see what we could become when we trust each other, when we reach for something greater." Ilara watched his eyes reflect the moonlight. "And yet I am promised to another," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Promises are often made from duty, not desire," Kalen said. But the heart knows its own truth. You must listen to it. Their conversation was interrupted by a warning signal from the palace. The outer defenses had detected unusual activity near the Lyrian border. Ilara's heart sank. General Kale was commanding the human fleet to investigate. The reality of her duties pressed back into her life. A reminder that the world outside the palace walls was not just stories and gardens. As the moons climbed high, Kaelin took her hand gently. You have to decide, Ilara. Not for politics, not for tradition, but for yourself. Ilara felt a surge of emotions. Fear, longing, hope. The kiss, the touch, the quiet words of Kaelin had awakened something deep inside her. She realized she could not continue living only by the rules set for her at birth. She had to choose. Above the horizon, she could see the first lights of the Terran fleet. General Kyle was approaching, unaware that the princess he was betrothed to had begun a journey that would challenge every expectation, every tradition, and every definition of loyalty and courage. Ilara turned back to Kaelin, the Fenra who had shaken her world with one kiss, one conversation. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to hope, not for what was expected, but for what was possible. She knew the path ahead would not be easy. There would be obstacles, misunderstandings, and trials. But she also knew that for the first time, she had the power to choose her own destiny. The palace felt both smaller and larger than before, the golden walls suddenly heavy with the weight of expectation, yet the gardens and the forests beyond felt infinite, full of possibility. She did not know what the future held, only that she could no longer simply follow orders. Kaelin brushed a strand of hair from her face. No matter what happens, remember this moment. Remember that your heart belongs to you, and that courage is not only for the battlefield. Ilara nodded, a quiet determination settling over her. She did not yet know whether she would follow her duty to General Kale or her newfound connection with Kaelin, but she understood that her decision would shape the future of her people, and perhaps even the galaxy. The twin moons shone down on her, casting silver light across her face, and for the first time, Ilara felt like she could breathe freely. The world was wide, mysterious, and full of wonders she had never dared to imagine, and somewhere deep in her chest a spark of defiance and hope began to burn. Proof that even in the midst of duty, even in the heart of expectation, there could be space for choice, for love, and for courage. She took a deep breath, feeling the night air fill her lungs, and turned back to Kaelin. Then we will face it together, she said softly. Kaelin's amber eyes glowed brighter, and for a brief moment the world seemed to hold its breath. There was no certainty, no guarantee of what lay ahead. But in that moment, Ilara knew that she was no longer just a princess, no longer just a symbol. She was a being capable of choosing, capable of feeling, capable of shaping her own destiny. The night stretched on, quiet, except for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of the palace. Ilara stood hand in hand with Kaelin, ready for the future, ready to face the impossible, and ready to discover what it truly meant to be human, and more than human, among the stars. The morning sun rose over the Lyrian palace, casting a warm glow over the gardens and silver towers. Princess Ilara felt a restless energy inside her as she paced the balcony. The events of the previous night, Kaelin's appearance, his words, the fleeting kiss, had unsettled her in ways she had never expected. Duty and desire were now locked in a battle that she could not ignore. Her thoughts were interrupted by the distant hum of engines. The Terran fleet had arrived at Lyra's orbit, their sleek ships gleaming like polished metal against the violet sky. General Kale moved through the palace gardens with his delegation, inspecting defenses and discussing strategy with the Lyrian Council. His presence was commanding, his voice calm and authoritative, and yet, Ilara could not shake the memory of Kaelin's amber eyes and the way his touch had made her feel alive. "Your Highness," one of the council advisors said, bowing as she approached. "The humans are ready to discuss the next steps for the joint defense. General Kale requests your attendance at the strategy meeting." Ilara nodded, smoothing the folds of her robes. She followed the advisor through the grand corridors, her mind racing. She knew she had to maintain composure, but her heart tugged her in another direction. She found herself thinking about Kaelin, about the freedom he represented, and the life she might have if she dared to choose it. The strategy room was vast, with holographic star maps hovering above a polished table. General Kale stood at the head, pointing to regions of the galaxy where recent anomalies had been detected. Ilara listened carefully as he spoke of coordinated patrols, defense protocols, and the potential threats facing both humans and Lyrians. His intelligence and focus were undeniable, and she could see why the Council had deemed him a suitable match for her. Yet, as Kale outlined the strategic plans, Ilara felt a strange sense of distance. He was brilliant, yes, but there was a rigidity in him that left no space for spontaneity, no room for wonder or surprise. Her mind wandered to Kalen, whose very existence defied expectation. He had shown her a world beyond rules, a universe where choices were guided by the heart as much as by duty. After the meeting, Ilara excused herself and slipped into the gardens. She needed the quiet, the calm, the chance to think. The soft glow of the bioluminescent flora made the air feel magical, and she walked deeper into the hidden glades, hoping Kalen might appear. As if on cue, he emerged from the shadows, silent and graceful. "I wondered how long it would take you to find me," he said, his voice carrying a gentle warmth that eased the tension in her chest. I needed to think," Ilara admitted. "Kale is impressive. He is everything I'm supposed to admire, and yet—" Her voice trailed off, unsure how to describe the conflict raging inside her. "Yet you feel something else," Kalen finished for her. "I understand, Ilara. The heart is never simple. Duty is important, yes, but it is not everything. There is a life waiting for you beyond expectations if you are brave enough to take it." Ilara's eyes filled with a mix of fear and longing. "But if I choose, if I follow what I feel, it could cause conflict. It could bring dishonor. And yet if I do not, I fear I will never truly live." Kalen stepped closer, lowering his voice to a soft, urgent tone. "You will never regret choosing yourself, Princess. But you may regret ignoring the truth of who you are." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert from the palace communications network. A distress signal had been detected in a nearby asteroid belt, a sector that had been considered safe. The Council scrambled and General Kale's voice rang out, directing the fleet to investigate. Ilara's stomach tightened. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of dangers, and now she faced a reality that required not only choice but action. "I have to go," she said to Kalen, her voice tight. "I cannot abandon my people even if my heart pulls me elsewhere." Kalen nodded, understanding in his amber eyes. "Then I will be here when you return. And remember, Princess, courage is not only on the battlefield. It is in the choices you make, even when they are difficult." Ilara returned to the palace, her mind still tangled between two worlds. She watched as General Kyle prepared to depart with the fleet, organizing patrols and giving instructions with his usual precision. The sight of him commanding the human forces stirred a strange admiration in her heart. He was brave, clever, and undeniably human, a testament to what humanity could achieve when discipline and determination met intelligence. Yet, the pull toward Kalen lingered. He represented a freedom she had never known, a life untethered by expectation, and a connection that transcended race and duty. She understood that her feelings were complicated, impossible to categorize neatly, and in that realization she found both fear and exhilaration. Days passed, and Ilara found herself increasingly drawn to Kalen. They explored hidden groves and moonlit clearings, discovering secret streams and glowing flora that only those attuned to the world could see. Kalen spoke of the Fenra's bond with the galaxy, of their ability to sense energy, intention, and emotion in ways no other species could. Ilara listened, fascinated, and gradually, she began to see herself not merely as a princess of duty, but as a being capable of choice, courage, and love. One evening, as the twin moons rose high, Ilara and Kalen stood on a cliff overlooking a valley bathed in silver light. "You see this, Ilara?" Kalen asked, gesturing to the sprawling wilderness below. "The galaxy is vast, full of possibilities, and yet most beings limit themselves. They follow rules, traditions, expectations. They forget to live." "I understand," Ilara said softly. "I want to live. But how do I balance my duty with what I feel? How do I choose between Kale and you?" Kalen smiled, a faint curve that carried both warmth and sorrow. "You do not choose between them. You choose yourself. You honor your heart, your instincts, your desires. Only then will the right path reveal itself." Her thoughts were interrupted by the sudden approach of a scout from the Terran fleet. The human pilot reported unusual energy readings from the asteroid belt, suggesting an unknown phenomenon. General Kale decided to investigate personally, and Ilara found herself accompanying the mission. Duty called, and she could not ignore it, even if her heart longed for Kalen. As the fleet approached the asteroid belt, strange lights danced across the rocks, streams of energy that seemed alive. Kale and his crew analyzed the readings, strategizing the safest approach. Ilara watched in awe, amazed at the human ingenuity and bravery on display. Their ability to navigate the unknown, to solve problems under pressure, was a testament to humanity's resilience. Suddenly, a disturbance rippled through the energy field. A massive rock shifted, threatening to collide with one of the fleet's ships. Without hesitation, Kalen appeared beside Ilara, his senses heightened, guiding the ship away from danger. The Fenra's speed and intuition complemented the human's precision, creating a seamless teamwork that astonished Ilara. After the threat passed, Kale turned to Ilara. "You have courage beyond your years, Princess," he said. "You remained calm under pressure. That is rare even among experienced leaders." Ilara nodded, feeling a sense of pride. But as Kalen stepped back into the shadows, she realized that her admiration for Kale, her respect for humans, and her connection with Kalen were all part of the same truth. She was capable of feeling deeply, of choosing wisely, and of shaping her own destiny. As the fleet returned to Lyra, the palace felt different to Ilara. She was no longer merely a princess awaiting orders. She had faced danger, witnessed the brilliance of humans, and experienced the power of Kalen's presence. Her heart was fuller, her mind sharper, and her resolve stronger. She understood that the choices she made would not only affect her life, but also the future of her people, the alliance between species, and perhaps even the balance of the galaxy itself. That night, she met Kalen in their secret glade once more. The Fenra's eyes glowed softly in the moonlight. "You have seen both worlds now," he said. "Humans with their courage, strategy, and ingenuity. Fenra with our instinct, freedom, and connection. The question is, which path will you take?" Ilara looked at the stars, her mind filled with possibilities. She did not have all the answers yet, but she knew one thing for certain. She would no longer be guided by duty alone. She would listen to her heart, honor her instincts, and embrace the courage she had discovered within herself. Kalen's hand found hers, warm and steady. "No matter what happens, Princess, know that you are not alone. You have the strength to face whatever comes, and the heart to choose the right path." Ilara squeezed his hand, feeling a quiet determination. The galaxy was vast and full of uncertainty, but she was ready to face the challenges, ready to navigate the delicate balance between duty and desire, and ready to discover what it truly meant to be human, and more than human among the stars. As they stood together beneath the twin moons, the soft glow of the Lyrian forest surrounding them, Ilara knew that her journey had only just begun. The path ahead would be difficult, filled with questions and choices, but for the first time she felt in control of her destiny. And in that knowledge there was both power and freedom, a promise of adventure, discovery, and the uncharted possibilities of the heart. The Lyrian palace was alive with movement and anticipation. Princess Ilara could feel the weight of her choices pressing on her more heavily than ever. The Terran fleet had returned from the asteroid belt mission, their ships gleaming with success, while the Fenra presence, though unseen by most, had quietly ensured that no lives were lost. The events of the past weeks had awakened something new in her, a desire to live freely, to choose boldly, and to honor her own heart, even when it defied expectation. Yet the path was far from simple. The Lyrian Council continued to press for the alliance with the Terrans through her betrothal to General Kale. They spoke of strategy, unity, and the peace that could be maintained if she fulfilled her role as a symbol of the two species working together. Ilara nodded politely during their discussions, but her thoughts were often elsewhere, drawn to Kalen and the secret glades where the twin moons cast silver shadows across the forest. She wandered the palace gardens one evening, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of blooming flora. Her mind replayed the moments from the asteroid belt mission, the way humans and Fenra had worked together seamlessly, their strengths complementing each other. It had shown her something profound. Cooperation, trust, and courage could come from unexpected sources, and perhaps her heart could too. A rustle in the undergrowth brought her attention to a familiar figure stepping into the moonlight. Kalen moved with his usual grace, his amber eyes reflecting both moonlight and something deeper, curiosity, concern, and unspoken understanding. "You've been thinking too much," he said gently as though he could read her mind. "You carry a heavy weight, Princess." "I do," Ilara admitted. "The Council expects me to maintain the alliance, to marry Kale, to fulfill every duty. And yet—" Her voice trailed off, uncertain how to express the conflict inside her. Kalen stepped closer, lowering his voice. "And yet you feel there is more. There is freedom, there is choice, and there is the life your heart longs to live. You cannot ignore it, Ilara." Her chest tightened. "I cannot ignore my duty either. If I follow my heart, if I act on what I feel, it could bring conflict. It could change the future of the alliance. I do not want to harm anyone." Kalen's gaze was steady and calm. "Sometimes the right choice feels risky. Sometimes it is the hardest to make, but it is still the right choice. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it." Ilara nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She felt a growing certainty within herself. The galaxy was larger than she had ever imagined, full of possibilities and alliances that could be formed in countless ways. She realized she could honor both her people and herself, but she would have to find a path that embraced courage, ingenuity, and trust, the qualities she had seen in both humans and Fenra. The next day, a delegation of Lyrian envoys gathered to meet with General Kale to discuss trade agreements and defense protocols. Ilara attended, observing the human general as he spoke with precision and intelligence. His ideas were brilliant, practical, and effective. She respected him deeply. But every time she looked at him, she could not help comparing him to Kalen, whose presence stirred something in her that Kale never could. Kalen was a challenge, a mystery, and a freedom she had never known. Kale represented safety, structure, and loyalty, the very qualities that made him extraordinary. That evening, Ilara returned to the glade where she often met Kalen. He was waiting, his eyes reflecting the glow of the bioluminescent plants. "You have been thoughtful today," he said. "What have you decided?" Ilara shook her head. "I do not know. I see the value in both paths. I see the strength and brilliance of humans, and I see the freedom and connection that Fenra offer. I cannot ignore either, but I feel that my heart belongs somewhere unexpected." Kalen stepped closer, taking her hand. "Then trust it, Princess. You do not need to have all the answers now. Trust that your heart will guide you when the time comes." Their moment was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the palace. A fleet of unknown ships had appeared on Lyra's sensors, their technology unfamiliar and their intentions unclear. General Kale quickly took command, coordinating the fleet to intercept the intruders while the Council scrambled to assess the threat. Ilara felt a surge of anxiety, but also a strange sense of clarity. This was the moment when her courage would matter, not just for herself, but for her people. The intruders turned out to be a band of rogue traders seeking to exploit Lyra's resources. They were not violent, but their ships moved with alarming speed, testing the defenses of both Lyrians and Terrans. Kale directed the fleet expertly, while Ilara coordinated with the Lyrian Council to manage civilian safety. Kalen appeared at her side, moving with incredible speed to relay information about the rogue ships' positions. The combination of human strategy and Fenra intuition created a seamless defense. Ilara realized that this was more than just a demonstration of strength. It was a lesson in cooperation and trust. After the threat was neutralized, Kale approached Ilara. "You handled yourself admirably," he said. "Your presence and decisions made a difference. I am impressed by your composure under pressure." Ilara nodded, feeling a swell of pride. She realized that she could respect Kale, admire his qualities, and even feel affection for him, while also acknowledging the pull she felt toward Kalen. It was possible to honor both, but she had to make choices based on courage, clarity, and her own instincts. That night, she met Kalen in their glade. "The galaxy is full of possibilities," Kalen said softly. "You have seen both human brilliance and Fenra intuition. You have seen cooperation and courage. Now it is time to see what you are capable of." Ilara looked at the twin moons, their light reflecting on her face. She thought of her people, her duty, her heart, and the choices she must make. She understood that life would not be simple. There would be challenges, misunderstandings, and trials. But she also understood that the power to act, to choose and to live boldly rested within her. "I am ready to face it," she said, her voice steady. "I do not know what lies ahead, but I will act with courage and with honesty. I will honor both my duty and my heart." Kalen smiled, his amber eyes glowing with quiet pride. "Then you are truly ready, Princess. The future is uncertain, but it is yours to shape, and no matter what happens, you are not alone." Over the next several days, Ilara found herself growing stronger, more confident, and more capable. She worked alongside Kale and the Terran delegation, learning the intricacies of human technology, strategy, and diplomacy. She discovered that humans were capable not only of extraordinary ingenuity, but also of deep empathy, understanding, and collaboration. At the same time, her interactions with Kalen deepened her appreciation for intuition, freedom, and connection with the natural world. Through these experiences, she began to realize that her strength did not come from choosing between humans and Fenra, but from embracing the qualities of both. She could be courageous like Kale, insightful like Kalen, and decisive like no one else. She could chart a path that honored her heart while protecting her people. One night, Kalen and Ilara stood on a cliff overlooking the palace, the city lights below twinkling like stars. "You have grown," Kalen said. "You are no longer just a princess bound by duty. You are a leader, a thinker, a chooser of your own path." Ilara smiled. "I have learned that courage is not only about facing danger. It is about making choices that are true to yourself, even when they are difficult. I have seen bravery in humans, intuition in Fenra, and I am beginning to see it in myself." Kalen took her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. "You are ready to face the challenges ahead, Princess, and together we will navigate whatever comes. You will inspire not only your people but also the galaxy." Ilara looked at him, feeling a warmth she had never known before. She understood now that her journey was about more than love or duty. It was about discovering the power within herself, the courage to choose and the wisdom to lead. The twin moons rose higher, casting silver light over the valley and the palace. Ilara took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill her lungs. She knew that the next chapter of her life would bring new challenges, new alliances, and new discoveries. But for the first time, she felt truly prepared to meet them head-on, guided by both her heart and her mind. She turned to Kalen, her companion, her guide, and the being who had awakened a new sense of possibility within her. "Whatever comes next, we will face it together," she said. Kalen's eyes shone with quiet certainty. "Yes, Princess, together." As they stood side by side beneath the moons, the Lyrian palace behind them, Ilara felt a profound sense of purpose. She was no longer simply a princess waiting for orders. She was a chooser of paths, a leader of people, and a being capable of courage, wisdom, and love. The galaxy was wide and full of possibilities, and she was ready to embrace them all. The galaxy had never felt so alive to Princess Ilara. The twin moons of Lyra shone brightly over the palace, their silver light dancing across the crystal towers and gardens. Yet beneath the serene beauty, tension hummed in the air. The Terran fleet had returned from the asteroid belt mission, but the Council remained cautious. They understood the importance of strengthening the alliance with the humans, and Ilara knew that her choices now would shape the future of both her people and the galaxy itself. In the quiet of the palace, Ilara reflected on all she had learned. She had seen human courage in action, witnessed Kalen's connection to the natural world, and realized the power of combining intuition, bravery, and strategy. Each experience had helped her understand herself better, that duty and desire did not need to be opposed, and that leadership required both the mind and the heart. That evening, she made her way to the hidden glade, seeking the presence of Kalen. He was there, as always, his amber eyes glowing softly among the bioluminescent plants. "You seem more certain today," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "I am," Ilara replied. "The past weeks have shown me what it means to lead, to act with courage, and to respect both the wisdom of humans and the instinct of the Fenra. I understand now that my choice is not between Kale and you. It is about guiding my people, honoring my heart, and shaping the future." Kalen studied her closely. "Then you are ready, Princess. The galaxy awaits your decision, and the path you take will inspire more than just your people. It will show that humans, Lyrians, and Fenra can work together, each contributing their strengths." Ilara nodded. "I want to strengthen the alliance. I want peace. And I want to do it with honesty, courage, and trust. Kaelin smiled. Then you have already begun. The following morning, the council gathered to discuss the next steps for the alliance with the Terrans. Alara entered the chamber with calm determination, her posture confident, her eyes steady. General Kael stood at the center, ready to present the final proposals for trade, defense, and joint exploration missions. Alara spoke first. Honorable Council, respected delegates, and General Kael, I have considered the past weeks carefully. I understand the importance of unity, security, and cooperation between our species, but I also understand that leadership requires more than following orders. It requires courage, vision, and trust. I wish to propose a new plan, one that unites humans, Lyrians, and Fenra in a partnership that respects the strengths of each. The council murmured among themselves, surprised by her boldness. Kael's eyes brightened with respect. He had seen human leaders inspired by vision, but he recognized the clarity and courage in Ilara's words. She continued, "The Fenra possess intuition and connection with the galaxy that no one else can match. Humans possess ingenuity, courage, and strategy that can guide us through challenges. Lyrians offer wisdom, diplomacy, and leadership. By combining these strengths, we can ensure not only the safety of our people, but also the prosperity of the galaxy. I request that we formalize a cooperative council, representing all three species to work together in matters of defense, trade, and exploration." Kael stepped forward. "Princess Alara, your plan is remarkable. Humans have always sought partnership, and this vision honors the contributions of all species. I support it fully." The council exchanged glances, debating quietly, but Alara could sense a shift in their tone. Her words had sparked hope and inspiration, reminding them that unity was possible when courage and trust guided decisions. That night, after the council meeting, Ilara walked through the palace gardens, reflecting on how far she had come. The tension between duty and desire had not disappeared, but she understood now that they could coexist. Her respect for Kael's courage and intelligence could exist alongside the deep connection and freedom she felt with Kaelin. Leadership required balance, and she was ready to embrace it fully. Kaelin appeared beside her silently, his presence comforting. "You have done well," he said. "You have chosen wisely, Princess, not between us, but for your people and yourself." Ilara smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had never known. "I understand now that leadership is not about sacrifice alone. It is about courage, vision, and the ability to embrace possibilities. I can honor both humans and Fenra while staying true to myself." Kaelin took her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "Then your journey is just beginning. The galaxy is wide, and there will be challenges ahead, but you are ready to meet them." Days passed, and the formal alliance was established. Humans, Lyrians, and Fenra began to collaborate on trade, defense, and exploration. Ilara worked closely with Kael, learning more about human strategies and sharing insights from her people. She also spent time with Kaelin, understanding the Fenra's connection to energy, intuition, and the natural world. Together, they created a council that represented unity, vision, and cooperation. Through this partnership, new discoveries were made. Humans developed technologies inspired by Fenra intuition, Lyrians guided interspecies diplomacy, and Fenra helped navigate the galaxy's hidden currents. Alara's vision was coming to life, a galaxy where differences were strengths, and cooperation was the foundation of progress. One evening, after a day of planning and discussion, Ilara stood alone on the palace balcony, gazing at the twin moons. Kaelin joined her silently, his presence grounding and comforting. "You have changed the galaxy," he said softly. "Not by force, but by courage, vision, and heart." Alara looked at him, gratitude and warmth filling her chest. "I could not have done it alone. Humans taught me strategy and bravery. You taught me intuition and freedom. Together we have shown that the galaxy can be united without losing its diversity." Kaelin smiled. "And you have shown that true leadership comes from the heart. You inspire everyone around you, Princess." Ilara laughed softly, feeling lighter than she had in months. "Then it seems my journey is not just about choosing between two paths, but about creating a new one entirely." Kaelin nodded. "Exactly. You are the bridge between worlds, Princess. And in doing so, you have discovered the strength within yourself." The next day, a celebration was held to honor the new alliance. Humans, Lyrians, and Fenra gathered in the palace gardens under the twin moons, sharing stories, knowledge, and laughter. Ilara moved among them, greeting each guest with warmth and respect, her heart full of pride and hope. She had chosen a path that honored duty, love, and vision, and the joy in the crowd reflected the promise of a future guided by unity and courage. During the celebration, Kale approached her, his expression both serious and warm. "Princess Ilara, I admire your courage and vision. You have led not only your people, but all of us towards something greater. I am proud to serve beside you in this alliance," Ilara smiled, "and I am grateful for your guidance, Kale. Together, we will ensure that the galaxy remains safe and prosperous, while honoring the strengths of every species." As Kale walked away to join his delegation, Kalen stepped closer, his amber eyes reflecting the moonlight. "You have done what few could," he said. "You have balanced duty and heart, honor and freedom, and you have done it with grace." Ilara took a deep breath, feeling the night air fill her lungs. "I have learned that courage is not just about facing danger. It is about making choices that honor truth, respect, and love. I can be both a leader and a human being, guided by both heart and mind." Kalen placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Then the galaxy will follow your example. Humans, Lyrians, Fenra, all will see that unity and cooperation can create wonders beyond imagination." Ilara smiled, feeling the warmth of Kalen's presence. The twin moons cast silver light across the gardens, and the soft hum of celebration filled the air. She knew the journey ahead would bring challenges, new discoveries, and moments of doubt. But she also knew she was ready. She had found strength in courage, wisdom in cooperation, and freedom in choice. The night continued, filled with laughter, music, and stories shared among species who had once been strangers. Ilara stood with Kalen, watching as humans, Lyrians, and Fenra celebrated together. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, understanding that the greatest victories were not won in battle, but in hearts and minds united by trust, respect, and hope. As the celebration continued, Ilara realized that her journey had come full circle. She was no longer a princess bound by duty, nor a young woman torn between desire and expectation. She was a leader, a bridge between worlds, and a symbol of what humanity and its allies could achieve when courage, cooperation, and love guided their choices. And for the first time, she felt truly free.